How to have a weed-free yard. Is it possible? I'm going to talk about the possibility of maybe having a weed-free yard. Is it possible? And maybe give you some tips and suggestions on how to start your journey to try to have a weed-free yard. So first of all, what is a weed? The definition of a weed is anything that you do not want in your yard or your garden. So if you have a yard of zoysia grass and you have some Bermuda grass runners growing in there, then that Bermuda grass is a weed. Although Bermuda is a type of grass, you don't want it growing in your zoysia lawn, so that Bermuda is considered a weed. So that's the definition of a weed, is anything you don't want in your yard. Now, in the traditional sense of a weed, you know, we're talking about stuff like this, like poana that's growing in your yard, grassy weeds, broadleaf weeds, sedges, anything like that. So this is a Bermuda lawn right here. So when I talk about weeds, I'm just talking about actual weeds in the traditional sense. But again, the definition of a weed is anything that you don't want in your yard. The next thing I want to talk about is, does a weed-free lawn really exist? And no, it doesn't. I've worked professionally in lawn care for 16 years, but I've worked with lawns my entire life, and I have never seen a 100% weed-free lawn. They don't exist. It's inevitable. Weeds are going to pop up in your lawn. So, but what you can get is a lawn that is maybe 95% free of weeds or 99% free of weeds. But I can walk in every single lawn and find at least one weed. So I don't think a 100% weed-free lawn truly exists, but just for this video, I'm going to share with you some tips and suggestions on how to get as close as you can to a weed-free lawn. And the first suggestion is using pre-emergent in your lawn. So what is pre-emergent? Pre-emergent is a product that you apply to your yard to prevent weeds before they grow, before they emerge, and before they germinate. So you can have this done professionally by companies. There are companies out there that apply pre-emergent, post-emergent, weed control, fertilization type businesses. You can have that done professionally, or you can do it yourself. There are some great products at the big box stores that you can get. Most of them come in a granular format, and you can get you just a small little hand spreader and apply that pre-emergent to your yard. You really want to do that twice a year, at least. One in the fall to prevent your wintertime weeds, and then one in the winter to prevent your spring and summer weeds. Now you can even do a third one, and I would encourage you to do a third one as well, and do a third pre-emergent application in the spring to really prevent those summer weeds from coming up. And again, pre-emergent is just a product that you put in your yard before the weeds emerge. So that's why it's called pre-emergent. Get it done before the weeds start growing. Now, the second option is to get down some post-emergent. If your yard is covered in weeds already and you're dealing with a lot of weeds that you don't want, you're going to need some post-emergent. That is a herbicide that you spray on the weeds to kill them. So they're already out, they're already growing, and you can see them with your eyes. So that's when you want to spray post-emergent herbicide on those weeds to kill them. Now, what kind of products are we talking about here? There's a selective herbicide and a non-selective herbicide, and it's very important that you know the difference. A selective herbicide is a product that you spray on your weeds that is good for your grass, bad for the weeds. So that's selective herbicide. So you can spray that on your lawn, it'll kill the weeds and not damage your grass. A non-selective herbicide product is something like glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup. That'll kill everything. Don't spray a non-selective herbicide on your lawn like Roundup. You'll end up doing some major damage. You'll kill some weeds, but you'll kill your yard in the process of that. So it's important to know the difference between the two. So starting your journey to a weed-free yard, that's really where you want to start. Applying pre-emergent before the weeds emerge, and a post-emergent to kill the weeds that already exist. So the next thing you want to do to create a weed-free yard is to create a lush, thick, grassy environment to choke out the weeds. So you can do that by doing a couple of things. One thing is applying fertilizer to your yard. Okay, so fertilizer with that's high in nitrogen. That's going to help your grass grow, right? It's going to help your grass turn green, and it's going to help create that thick, lush, grassy environment. The thicker your grass, the more it's going to choke out the weeds. So that's another thing you can do to really start you on that journey to having a weed-free yard. Apply some fertilizer. Now, you don't want to go out there and apply it heavily. You want to read the label of all the products that you're going to be putting on your yard, including those pre-emergent and post-emergent products. Read the label, make sure it's all safe for the type of grass that you have, and again, read the label and make sure you put out the correct amount of product. So you don't want to over fertilize, because you can burn your grass and possibly do some damage. So another thing that will really help the weed situation is mowing. So weeds hate to be mowed. Every time you mow a weed, it stresses it out a little bit more. So I would encourage you to mow frequently, once a week. Okay, there's some people that I know that mow every 3 or 4 days, and that's okay too. But you don't want to mow too low. I would encourage you to kind of mow high and frequently. All right, so just because your grass is high, it doesn't mean you can't still mow frequently. So mow frequently. The more often you mow, that's going to encourage the more root growth of your grass. Your grass loves being mowed. Your weeds hate being mowed. And never cut more than 2/3 of your grass tissue away at one time. Okay, so you can mow frequently, but you don't want to go in and cut the entire grass blade off at one time, because then you will stress your grass out. So never mow more than 2/3 of your grass away at one time. Now, the next thing you can do to really help the weed situation is watering infrequently and watering deeply. So what do I mean by this? What do I mean by watering deeply? Well, that just means to water once, maybe twice a week for longer periods of time, to allow that water to really percolate down through the soil, okay? And you don't want to water on a daily basis, because weeds love a wet, moist environment, okay? Especially sedges like kalinga, nut sedge. That will only grow in wet environments. So if you water your lawn daily, you're really kind of causing yourself to have more weeds. So I would just encourage you to water deeply, once, twice a week tops. And the last thing you can do is to just manually remove the weeds, okay? This is the old-fashioned way of getting rid of your weeds, but it is the non-chemical way. So if your concern is putting a lot of chemicals on your yard and you're not really excited about doing that, just manually removing the weeds is the best way to do it. Just bend over, get you a bucket, and start picking. So I appreciate you watching this video. If you found value in this, please consider subscribing to the channel and like this video. I'll see you in the next one.